Hey, what's going on, y'all? So, the big secret is, they don't want you to know that God is within you, right? I think that would be the biggest secret ever, for real, right? God is within you. But the truth of the matter is, that's not really a secret because all of the mystery schools point to that. That's the purpose of a mystery school. And you have a million mystery schools and they've been around forever, right? Um, And especially when you step foot on the Asian continent, you know what I mean? You definitely start to get into some things. So when you go over into India, you start to see reincarnation. You start to see a state of consciousness known as nirvikalpa samadhi, where these pretty much gurus, these masters, they can leave their body. That thing that is inside of us when we go to sleep that goes through different dimensions and whatnot. 1 minute you at the game, next minute you then morphed into, the mall and whatnot. That thing right there, they're in tune with that, and they can leave the body where the heart and the brain waves and the whole body vital functions just totally shut down and really are dead. And they can come back anytime they want to, an hour later, days later. I even read some studies where in China it was weeks later, right? And so there's a supreme level of mastery, because in order to get to God is within you, that must mean we have a superpower, right? God, the concept of God must defy physics, okay? And so, so that it really means this, that the biggest responsibility, hear me closely, please listen to me, please, I beg of you. The biggest responsibility that we have, once we can understand that, okay, the aspect of God is inside of me, then my biggest responsibility is to cultivate that spirit, to cultivate that energy, to cultivate that divine presence that's within me, and to cultivate that to its highest potential, its absolute highest potential, okay? And so in other words, what do it look like? It can look like, how do you convey energy where you can physically touch someone and they no longer have ailments, no longer have disease? How can you convey energy maybe through words, or guide someone where they no longer have ailments, they no longer have disease, just by them listening to your instruction, right? There's some people who don't even have to physically touch you. They can just put their hands above you. There's a whole nother sexual science where they could put the hand slightly above you and you can start to have orgasms and feel that energy. Not ejaculations, orgasm, different, totally two different things, right? And so, it's people who can send energy remote to someone. There's people who can pray for someone and really concentrate on someone, then all of a sudden a person have a dream about them, and that helps them in their particular process of the issue that they're dealing with. So how do we develop our superpowers? You can touch someone and take their pains away, take their ailments away, things of that nature. And our powers are going to manifest really. That's why I love the zodiac so much, because these are laws. It's going to manifest in one of these 12 areas, in a sense, right? And so maybe yours is through voice and sound, maybe it's through touch, maybe it's through nutrition, maybe it's through a certain teaching to get people to learn how to cultivate, right? And so that is the biggest responsibility that we have, is how to cultivate that. And that's why I don't really spend time in decoding certain things anymore per se, because it's strictly a mental thing and whatnot. And it's not adding, it's great knowledge and that's cool, but it's not adding to my light force within me. And so first we have to get in tune with what this energy is, feel it, sense it, learn how to get in tune with it, and then how to compound it, how to start making it grow, elevate within, and then how to make it expand and radiate outwards, in which we can start to convey it to other people if we so choose, okay? And so, if we have superpowers and we are the superhero or the superhero, then what are the techniques and practices that will get us to unlock this vast but dormant God potential that exists within us? And this is why, again, I'm gonna have to point to the Eastern schools, because the Western schools don't have it. Meaning Christianity don't have it. Meaning, Native American shamanism doesn't have it. You know what I mean? The Freemasons don't have it. Just a lot of schools of thought from the Western side do not have the physical techniques to get you to open up that that secret or sacred vault that lies within us. And that's why I told you I had to come to China. I'd have been to India, and now I'm in China, and it's time to marry those two philosophies together because they're very close. This is why it's interesting, because China, is a known fact that Shaolin actually comes from an Indian Buddha who came to China and brought Buddhism there, and then that's how the whole Shaolin martial arts got started, and that's how China accepted Buddhism. Okay, and so those two systems, India and China, it's a vast respect, i.e. Tantra and Taoism. There's a similarity that's there. You know what I'm saying? I tend to lean more towards, well, they both have a particular balance, and I just love the Tao simply because it starts to invoke elements in nature and planetary energies, and then knowing what I know, it's time to harness that and whatnot. Okay, and so this is why I instruct people who support me, people who are in my teaching per se, is, hey, listen, the most important thing is your daily practice. And your daily practice is so simple, but so powerful. And it's to connect with this sun right here. And when you connect with that sun and whatnot, see, we got to remember that light is intelligent, right? And so therefore, you can tell light what to do. We've all seen the secret message or hidden messages in water, in a sense, right? Where you say something to water. Let me be clear. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's the vibration. Because believe that they wasn't saying love in a nasty, ugly way. Love. They wasn't saying it like that. I love you. They wasn't saying it like that. So it's the vibration of tonality. And so when you say, I love you, right? Come here, boo. I love you. Come here, girl. Let me love on you, right? When you give it that way, it's soft, it's yin. And so then the molecules, which are light, the molecules start to conform to your vibration, i.e. intention and tonality, okay? And so when you say something that's totally on the opposite side of the spectrum, then we know the structures of the water change nasty. It look ugly, right? And so it is your intention inside of the word, the force that's within it, that gives shape to matter. Just imagine the car with the loud bass setting off car alarms as it goes down the street. That's sound wave vibration affecting matter, okay? So with light, since that's a vibration, your sound and your intention, which is thoughts and electricity anyway, marries the incoming light that's touching you, and then you're telling it through your own internal light how to spiral and what to do. And so it's very important that we understand what are the sacred centers of our body, okay? And connect with the light, direct the light, so we can expand the God within us. That is absolutely the biggest responsibility that we have to self, okay? Then once we have mastered that, right, then we can go out with others, those around us, privately or publicly. Again, I believe with all of my heart, Dr. Martin Luther King, rest his beautiful soul, he was one of those super heroes. His came through oratory, through speech. His speech galvanized and made change, okay? The slight problem with that is, and it's a horrible problem, is we today are traumatized by the things that our ancestors, or let's just say ancestors, our ancestors went through. Slavery, civil rights, to be precise. But we walking around here free, the freest time, the most beneficent time for us all. You can do anything you want to do, be anything you want to be, marry what you want to marry. You can even change your gender, and it's legal. And you as a man can go participate in women's sports if you want to, and the law is going to respect it. Man, you better stop playing with me. Stop playing. What? Well, that's the confusion. Who cares about the confusion? Because the secret is out. The secret is the G-force is inside of you. It's inside of me. It's inside of us. So therefore, we got to get about our Father's business. And our Father's business is cultivating the eternal light that's within us. We don't have time to be wasting on anything else. I don't, and I shall not. Okay. And so, it's about, again, these practices, these cultivating. See, when you have to study masters who display they got superpowers. How did they get there? See, either you want to flirt with this thing, right? And that's cool because you would get it one day. But then you got some people that's just like bona fide, like, nah, I'm in. I ain't got time to be playing with this. Because, see, I'm going to tell you something. The dangers of flirting with this is you die and it's unresolved as a desire because it hasn't figured it out. You haven't figured it out, so it's unresolved. You set yourself up for reincarnation on the wheel to have to figure it out again. This is the purpose of, in Buddhism, you understand why they tell you to become empty and get rid of all freaking desires, in a sense, because that's what binds you into this reality. Okay? So you got to be careful flirting around with information, in a sense. Okay? Because, again, like I just said, you'll be back to figure it out. Now, if you study the human being very closely, I always say this, and we really should shut up after I say this. You understand that we have wisdom teeth, 4 teeth that are connected to cranial nerves in the brain that absolutely have no use. Our mouths are not big enough to accommodate them, which means our brain capacity is not yet there, which means what? You and I, the human being, is under or in the process of evolution as we speak. So shut up and calculate. Be quiet. Study. Cultivate the God within. Because we are under a process of evolution as we speak. We have no time to really be wasting, but we have all the time in the world because we have nothing but eternity. But the problem with that is, as I say, you come back and you're usually faced with some form of trauma to get you to wake up to reach your highest potential. That's the problem in the Western Hemisphere. I want no pieces of that. So when you study the masters and you see the level of discipline, we don't like that word, because to become a master, you really got to master the concept of Saturn. And we don't like it. I talk about it. It's cold. He don't want to have fun. And it's so serious on this. Hey, I'm not saying that you can't have fun. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have balance. The Buddha said, eat, drink, be merry. He was a big boy, right? You can have that. The thing is, how do you cultivate whatever you desire? If you identify this over here as being fundamental to your life, love, your people, things of that nature, and your spiritual cultivation, how do you take them both to the extreme heights? That's all I'm saying. So you got to figure that out. Only you can figure that out for yourself. Okay. And so at the end of the day, I'll stand on it and say that cultivating the light within is absolutely our biggest responsibility. Absolutely, by far. That's what they don't want you to know. But since you done figured out you God, you done figured out your history and all this stuff that points to us as our greatness, we been got those lessons a long time ago, right? Now what? But do you see any internal change? Do you even see any external change from the information? We really don't. We haven't really stepped into our powers like that. Why? Because we haven't undergone a systematic study, a discipline to cultivate those powers like that. Okay? And that's what time it is right there. All right. So with that, hey, I greet you and leave you in peace.